officers and close to 38 years and countries are participating, alongside leading experts in democracy, elections, governance, technology, law, media, and communication. As far as this session is concerned, this particular session examines the International Election Visitors Program as a platform for knowledge sharing that familiarizes international delegates with the host country's electoral system. It highlights the program role as an exchange and learning initiative rather than a monetary mission, promoting transparency. Moderated by Mr. Sandeep Maharaja, the CEO of Madhya Pradesh. He is IAS officer of the Madhya Pradesh cadre, born on 20th August 1969 and domiciled in the state of Madhya Pradesh. He is a distinguished civil servant known for his strong commitment to good governance, administrative efficiency, effective public service delivery. He has extensive administrative experience across field postings, radio administration, Zilla Panchayat administration, and maintenance of law and order in various districts. He has also served as district magistrate and collector of Panna and Betul district, as well as divisional commissioner of Chambal division. He has also worked in the state government secretariat across several departments, including the Chief Minister's Office, Tribal Welfare Department, Transport Department, Law and Legislative, Election Department, Panchayat and Rural Development, and so on. He played a key role in the conduct of election as joint CEO of Madhya Pradesh during the Assembly elections 2008 and Parliamentary election 2009. He has been serving as the CEO of Madhya Pradesh since 15 July 2025. Moreover, secondly, we have Mr. Savila Ika Vasivao, Acting Commissioner and Supervisor of Elections of Tonga. He oversees Tonga's electoral role, ensuring accuracy and integrity. With a background in management, accounting, corporate service, and administration, he applies strategic planning and process improvement to electoral management. Committed to professional development, he holds certification from the Australian and New Zealand Electoral Commissions, the UNDP supported Bridge Program, and the Commonwealth Election Professional Initiative. An experienced manager, he is a strong advocate for transparent and credible elections, fluent in English, Tongan, and Mandarin. Accompanying him, we have Professor Raka Arya, NLIU Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. He is a professor of political science and dean of student welfare at NLIU Bhopal with over 2 decades of experience in teaching, research, and academic administration. A PhD graduate from JNU, her expertise spans political studies, administrative and constitutional law, air and space law, and women's and human rights. She has also served on multiple national committees, including the 22nd Law Commission of India, and led initiatives on gender justice, legal empowerment, and curriculum development. Last but not the least, we have Professor Sanjay Pandey from Jawaharlal Nehru University. He is a faculty member at the Center for Russian and Central Asian Studies, School of International Studies, JNU. He holds an MA, MPhil, and PhD and specializes in Russian and Central Asian foreign policy, nationalism, and federalism, along with Northeast India, regional politics in Eastern Uttar Pradesh, and the Indian diaspora. A professor at JNU since 2010, he has received prestigious international fellowship, including the LM Singhvi and Charles Fellowship at the University of Cambridge, and has served as an international election observer in Uzbekistan. His research and publication focus on federalism, identity movement, and India-Central Asia relations. Along with that, we also have Dr. I.P. Singh. He is an accomplished educationist, electoral management expert with over 28 years of experience in policy planning, leadership, teaching, aid development, and election training. He is also an LMT for Election Commission of India. I would now hand over the mic to Mr. Sanjeev Kumar Jha. Okay. Oh, sorry. So we also have, I apologize for this. So we also have Dr. Tanmay Kundu from IIM Indore. He's a faculty in Operations Management and Content Techniques area. He obtained his PhD from the Department of Business Administration at the National Taiwan University. During his doctoral studies, he received the fellowship for the outstanding international doctoral student and the prestigious PhD thesis writing grant from the Ministry of Science and Technology of Taiwan. He held faculty position at IIM Bodh IIT Jodhpur, and IMI New Delhi. He has also worked with the Logistics Institute, Asia Pacific at the National University of Singapore, leading and managing industrial research and consultancy projects related to logistics and transportation. His ongoing research focuses on a variety of topics, including e-commerce logistics, multimodal transportation system, humanitarian logistics, intelligent logistic platform operation, sustainable supply chain management. So beyond his academic pursuit, he possesses entrepreneurial acumen and has ventured into business both in India and Taiwan. You can go from here also. Want to present? Okay. So, notes, allowance, sparkle, or John, yep. Harmony. Also? Yeah. So,
good morning, everybody.
Yes, something.
My esteemed delegate from Tonga, Mr. Samvar, experts from I am IITs and then IU. Then another academic participants from various universities, media representatives, our national level master trainers and electoral experts. I am Chief Electoral Officer of Madhya Pradesh. Thank you for my introduction. So, I'll be moderating this session today. Just want to give you a brief introduction about the theme. The theme, essence of the theme is learning from each other. The theme is all about exchange of knowledge, sharing of experiences. It helps to strengthen our own institutional capacities and improve our electoral systems across countries. The election, was very complex. So this intentional election visitors program, it's a platform. It's a global platform for knowledge exchange. So this session will highlight the same. You will be getting insights into the program on my behalf, Dr. Y.P. Singh. He is our national level monitor, national level master trainer and electoral expert. He has been associated with us for a long time. So, over the next 15 minutes or so, about 10 minutes each, every speaker will be giving our national international experts, they will be giving their insights through presentations. And after that, we would have interactive session, question answer session from 12:50 to 1:10 p.m. I would request all of my speakers, our speakers, to follow time limits so that we should have more time for interactive discussions and question answer. This theme is, it's open to everybody. Everybody can give suggestions how to organize this theme. With this, let's begin our session. I invite Dr. Y.P. Singh to give an overview of the whole program and its significance.
Thank you, sir. So in the next 10 minutes, we will discuss International Election Visitors Program. As the sir has already said, IVP. IVP is for sharing knowledge. It will delegates to understand how the elections are conducted in the host country. The participants may include electoral authorities, the governments, the civil societies, and other stakeholders. Basically, IVP is not an assessment program nor an observation mission. The main purpose is what the sir has already said. The main purpose is to learn from each other, to share the knowledge, to have a population. And for this, we need a professional dialogue among EMBs. So that's what we can say. By taking part, EMBs can strengthen their capacities. So why we need this session? As we all know, election system today is very complex. It requires a close coordination between law, administration, technology, logistics, and various stakeholders. Democracy means elections are transparent, accountable, and inclusive. We also know world is changing very fast. So because of this, EMPs have to cooperate with them. For that, we have to look after ease of voter inclusion, digitization of electoral process, overseas, advanced voting, spatial voting, and increasing use of technology. And this can be done through the study of global trends and emerging challenges. We have to learn from each other. We have to learn the best practices adopted by the other countries. And then those best practices will be adopted, will be taken over in our own context. So the comparative learning and peer engagement can strengthen the institutional capacity and enhance the electoral integrity. So when we organize the international election programs, when visitors visit us, they will have a full briefing on the electoral process. This includes legal frameworks and technical sessions. They will have control access to the polling stations. They will interact with the stakeholders, and also there will be a field visit for them. So we can say they will have a complete exposure of the entire electoral cycle, right from the voter registration to campaigning, poll process, and result declaration. And of course, it also includes the dispute resolution. The sharing of best practices among countries, sharing what the other countries have implemented, how those best practices have impacted the electoral process of the host country. All these will be taken over and then adapted in your own country. EMBs also take measures to address global trends and emerging challenges, as we had already discussed. So there will be a complete learning exposure to the visitors. The whole electoral cycle will be covered. In the pre-poll phase, they will understand the legal framework, the logistic, how the voter registration is done, and about the voter education. On polling, they will observe how the polling station is set up, how the polling is done, what about the accessibility, how the security coordination is done, and how the operations are executed. In post-poll phase, they will learn about the counting, about the tabulation process, about the result declaration, how the result is communicated to the public, and of course, how the dispute is resolved. And the additional engagement include the mission briefings, the EMD field visits, and dialogues with the university and think tanks. They will also get Rajpura exposure. And in debrief sessions, there will be discussion of the key learnings and how to take whatever they have learned, how to adapt those things in your own context. We also know globally what the best practices are being done by the other country. So many countries are doing this thing. But an example, only a few countries have been taken. The first one is the voter roll revision. We know that the continuous voter roll revision, the updated voter roll is a must for the elections. So there will be mobile registration, online registration, a biometric system is there for ensuring inclusion of every elector. As an example, we can say in India, we have annual assembly revision with continuous updation and field verification. In Canada, there is a National Register of Electors with online revision. And in Egypt, the voter roll revision is automatically done through updates in the National ID database. Second one is the voting machine, digital voting and support technology. Technology is for ease of voting. By using the technology, the voter process can be done very easily. Many countries are using technology for improving the voting. In India, we have EVM VVPAT for audit train. The Commission has allowed the export of the customized electronic voting machine to Bhutan, Nepal, Namibia. We have also provided indelible ink bottles to many countries like Madagascar, Myanmar, Cambodia, Fiji, Bhutan, Sierra Leone, including Mongolia. In Estonia, there is internet voting, that is known as I-voting for national election. This internet voting or I-voting allows citizens, South Korea, the electoral voter list is electronic. It refers to the digital system used at the polling station. In Moldova, the attendance of voters entered into the laptop that is placed in the polling station, and all polling stations are interconnected at network. Once a voter has voted, it is known in the whole country that that person has voted. So there will be no duplicate voting. Overseas voter special voting. EMB's thing about overseas voter, the special voter, and it's also known as the advanced voting. What we have a system like Ulster, we have mobile polling stations. Like it is to expand to cover all voters, all eligible voters. So in India, we have postal ballot for senior citizens, for PWDs, for service voters, and for the persons engaged in election duties. In Canada, special voters are for overseas voters also. In Germany, everyone can take part to the postal ballot. In Sweden, there is postal ballot system that is known as the embassy voting and in-house voting. And the fourth one is the transparency and dispute resolution. So the overall reporting and complaint mechanism, the redressal mechanism is must to reinforce the legitimacy. In India, every step is explained to the contesting candidates and the political parties. There is real-time disclosure of the result. Election petitions are handled by the High Court or the Supreme Court. In Mexico and Brazil, they use the independent tribunals to resolve disputes. In the United Kingdom, finances are publicly disclosed and the election challenges are settled through the courts. We know that the IBP is a flagship program of the Election Commission of India. Since 2014, we are organizing the IBPs. In the year 2024, there was a general election in India. And in that general election, 75 delegates from 23 countries visited India to see the general elections. Delegates were briefed about the legal and regulatory frameworks of the elections. They were told about how the voter registration is done, about the voter education program. They observed the scale of Indian election. There were more than 97 million voters, about 15 million polling personnel, and more than 1 million polling stations. They also see the electronic voting machine, the IT initiatives, the role of media and social media. Our experts have also visited many countries and they have many learning experiences from the different countries. In Sri Lanka, as a part of international observer mission of how to meet the representatives of political economic candidates, media, to the observer group. This is very important. Why is it important? Because of this whole process, they were able to understand the full electoral process of the Sri Lanka. And also, they were allowed to interact with the stakeholders. So there is also transparency. In Moldova, and our TV state, you saw the electronic voter validation process. This we had already discussed, and it reduced the duplication of voting. In Moldova, government funds the political party to contest election, and there is no silence period. We have silence period in India, we have silence period in many countries, but in Moldova there is no silence period for the specified campaign periods. So there we learned about the electronic voter validation program. It enhances the accuracy and prevents the duplication of voting. When our team visited Russia on invitation, we observed the election process there. How the logistics is maintained. So Russia is a very big country. So how they are handling the remote polling stations, the polling stations during extreme weather conditions. how they are managing it. We also saw the whole process of the Central Election Commission were broadcast through the internet. There was 100% web camera coverage, and a live webcasting of all the polling and counting process was also there. So our recommendations are there should be a dedicated platform to organize the EMB visits. There should also be an online platform for sharing knowledge, for sharing ideas from other countries. We should be allowed to meet a diverse range of experts. In our team also, there should be a relevant experts connected with the elections. The visit should be of adequate duration to cover the entire electoral process, and this has to be strengthened by the scaling. Why scaling is needed? To reach the enhance of adaptability for the learning and for the professional cooperation. And of course, the strategic planning is also essential to optimize the visit across the locations and phases. So we can say IIDEM program is very useful for sharing knowledge. We can gain insights. We can learn from the best practices of the other countries. And the program strengthens the EMBs by enabling professional dialogue and cooperation. Such program enhances peer learning, adaptation, and long-term cooperation. So this is all about IEPP. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vaidya Singh. That was an overview of what International Election Waiters Program is all about. Now, next, I would like to invite Mr. Sam Bard for giving his insight into this program. Or
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Sam, and I come from the Kingdom of Tonga. Tonga is a very small island located in the Pacific Ocean, and it's a very small island country, and it consists of 165 little islands combining to form up the Kingdom of Tonga. We are ruled by the monarch and the royal family, and it's a constitutional monarch. So the chairs to the parliament, we have 26 chairs, seats, 17 for the people, and 9 for the nobles, hereditary nobles, that will form up our parliamentary seats, and they will choose our prime minister to run the government. And once we recruited the prime minister, then the prime minister will choose his working cabinet of ministers for the country. So that's a little brief from where I come from. And my respect to my fellow panelists, the professors and Dr. Kundu, and also my good friend here, the CEO of Madhya Pradesh. It's an honor for me to work alongside the Madhya Pradesh team. And I can see that I'm the only different person here from the panelists. So what the first Professor Doctor has opened our session today said, it's all about learning and observation. So that's the whole meaning of the International Observer. So it's starting now here. I'm here to observe what is India, and a table for the rest of the world to learn from. Congratulations to Electoral Commission of India for chairing international India nations and member countries. And it's a fortunate position because I think for hosting this conference and forum, India is the best, ECA is the best electoral commission who can host this global conference. So congratulations about that. And we come here from all over the world to learn and observe what ECI has to offer and what we have to offer. So it starts here. So this thematic session is very important indeed. So there goes my introduction. In my 10 minutes, I would like to share with you why such programs matter and what we have learned from them and how they can be designed to build trust, transparency, and mutual learning, not as monitoring missions, but as platforms for shared growth. Because most EMBs and think that international observers team that comes to your EMBs they're there to criticize what your EMBs are currently doing, and very critical, and they have their own sayings. It's like they're throwing stones at you. But like what the doctor has opened our session with, it's a no. International election visitors program is basically there for us to learn. So, firstly, like I'll just speak from my capacity in Tonga. So it's a very small country, and we have only 100,000 plus people in country. The diasporas, the majority they are overseas, outside of the country, mostly in Australia, New Zealand, and in the US. In small island nations like Tonga, elections are a deeply community-centered process, but we are also part of a global democratic family. International visitor programs allow us in Tonga to open our doors and look through the windows of other systems. Like what I'm doing now, I'm here in India, a very big country, very, very big and huge, and you have a very big electoral commission. And I can't imagine the election processes running at ECI throughout the whole country. So in a geographical measurement between Tonga, a small island, to India, we're very small compared to that. So I'm picking up everything that I could, which is relevant, so I can go back with it to my EMP in Tonga. And for especially the digitalizing everything, most of the election process here, and the uses of technology, it is very new, because in Tonga we still use manual. For new voters registration, we use manual forms, manual fill in the forms. Everything is done mostly manually. So I have come here. India is very advanced and at the brave front. So these programs are not about judgment. They're about observation, dialogue, and exchange. They help demystify electoral processes, break down isolation, and create a network of professionals who face similar challenges, whether in logistics, technology, voter education, or inclusivity. A few years ago, Tonga hosted a small group of electoral officials from the Pacific region. That is the nearest visitors program in our region. Is mostly done in country, in a member country of the Pacific Island region, and with the help of the Australian Electoral Commission and New Zealand Electoral Commission. So in the Pacific, if you all heard it includes Tonga, Fiji, Samoa, Papua New Guinea, Vanuatu, Tahiti, French Polynesia, anywhere, Niue, Nauru, they're all included, they're all the Pacific Island regions. So we have observation visitors program, or election visitors program within our island nations in the regions. So it was a turning point for us to host this Pacific region visitors program in Tonga. So we realized that explaining our processes to outsiders forced us to document better, simplify our procedures, and see our own system through fresh eyes. So we always need some fresh eyes to be there. They come and see this in their perspective, what we cannot see it through, because we thought that what we're currently running our EMP with in Tonga that's the best, but it wasn't. We realized at the end, after we have the observation reports from our colleagues from outside that we weren't perfect. So we changed our processes to the observations feedbacks, to the betterment of the EMP. So I assure him that this is the real value. You see the principle becoming practice. So later, when I visit elections in New Zealand and here in India, I saw how technology was integrated with transparency, how voter accessibility was prioritized, and how post-election reviews were conducted openly. These were just ideas in the manual, they were practices in action. So, there we go. So information from collaboration. The real innovation happens when these programs move beyond passive observation to active collaboration. In the Pacific, we started using visitor programs to co-create solutions. For example, designing voter education materials for remote islands, or we adapt the dispute resolution models to local customs. So this transforms the visitor program from a one-off study tour into a continuous partnership ongoing. So a way forward, building a global culture of electoral openness. If we want to strengthen democracy worldwide, globally, we must normalize transparency. International visitor programs are a step forward to that. So I encourage every EMP here to open your elections to friendly observers from other EMPs. Second your staff and send them to see others' elections, especially in different regions. Create a follow-up mechanism, what was learned, what was adapted, any question that might help. To conclude, I think I've over my 10 minutes. In Tonga, we say whakaapaa. It means we respect each other so we can work together. That, to me, is the heart of the International Education Visitors Program. It is not about finding faults. It is about sharing strengths, learning with humility, and growing together as the stewards of democracy. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to further discussions. Malo.
Thanks for the encouragement. We have such more to learn in future. And thanks for giving us insight in of the electoral system in Tonga. Yeah. Now I invite our next speaker, Dr. Kundu, to speak about strengthening of process architecture.
Good afternoon, everyone. I also thank, our session chair who just introduced, me, and complementing what, I think Sanjeev sir and Minister Sam, shared along with my, colleague, Dr. Singh as well. We already by far know what IDP is. So now the question is, how do we, actually execute it in practice? Okay, meaning how can we strengthen the process architecture of IDP? So I, along with my, team, in the CEO's team of MP and, my institute, Institute of Management in Indore, we're currently working on coming up with some kind of architectures, frameworks, and template which EOBs can use, okay, in their host country, and also if they are visiting any country, how they should be actually, learning the entire process. So as, we have been discussing, it is more of a capacity building exercise. So there is a lot of issues in the due process. Okay, we should not be confusing this with a study tool, because it's not a study tool. Okay, it's more of an peer-to-peer learning process. So how do we execute it? Just to focus on, I would be in the next 10 minutes, I would be speaking on this agenda, starting with the setting the hook, which is how the electoral process is linked to the IDP. Then the next is the end-to-end process of a typical IDP. How IDP can be focused as a design learning system. Then the, some common pitfalls and process bottlenecks which EMEs may observe as an, visitor. Next, what makes a successful IDP? Then followed by we have been preparing some templates which EMEs can use, and their closing remarks. Okay, to start with, you see, we just, saw in the first session which Dr. Singh, presented, the three phases of an electoral cycle. Okay, pre-poll, poll day, and post-poll. Now, here is an entire observation across the electoral cycle. Now, there are certain diplomatic foundations for IDP, okay, which I think, Mr. Sam also, mentioned. It's about respecting, aligning, and the third is post. The thing is, it's not, so if our team is basically visiting, we're not visiting there to criticize or just to rank our process. It's more of, to see and learn what they are doing. And along the process, we also share what we are doing, because you never know that the host country may also be facing some issues. So that's how a peer-to-peer learning engagement can be established. The diplomatic foundation is respect, align, and post to conduct any IDP. So this is the typical end-to-end process of an IDP. So you see that there are program design and objectives, then the invitations are basically, sent. So identification of the participant countries with respect to EMEs. Then typically we have a pre-visit orientation, then the agenda structuring, field exposure. So field exposures can be done on the poll day, maybe sometimes, just pre-poll and post-poll as well, which includes both polling, logistics, the technology part as well. Then interaction with the host EMEs and other officials and stakeholders. And finally, the closure, or what we call as post-visit learning and dissemination in forms of reports or, some kind of engagement sessions, as well. So where challenges typically, occur. So objectives sometimes are too broad. Sometimes there can be, passive observations, information overload, and limited post-visit learning opportunity. So you visit, let's say 15 hours or 20 hours to a country, you conducted the tour and the visit, and there can be something we call as lost in translation effect. Okay. Sometimes you might have observed something, but you fail to know what is the reason behind this intervention. I think, Sanjeev sir earlier was mentioning, and we were discussing all day. So for example, we implemented IIDEM. What is the reason? Okay, so for example, if someone from a foreign country visit, they just come and see that, okay, we have an IIDEM, but there has to be some kind of reason behind it, right? So those kind of understanding is also necessary so that the visitors can go back and then try to analyze if this can be actually within our context to improve our electoral cycle or not. That's something that, our process should be. So the question is, how can we design the program architecture so that the exposure consistently translates into deep learning and institutional impact? So this is what the thing is, that instead of seeing IDP as a visit and exposure, just like typically in some of the settings, so there are evidences and literatures, which say that sometime like a visitor program can be just an observation kind of a thing, or just a visit. And also to reduce this lost in translation effect, we should be strengthening the process architecture of the IDP. Okay, so this is the entire process that we have been, and our team at NP, we have been working on. So what we have been doing is that we try to identify some of the process bottlenecks which are in the different phases of IEDP. So for example, you start with the pre-visit case, we share the agenda close to the arrival. Okay, so there can be anybody's, they just come, so maybe they just landed in Delhi, they know what the architecture is. But there has to be some pre-engagement. Okay, so they can come prepared. So what we should do, this is also applicable for any country who is planning such programs. So you see that what a high impact design should be. So participants receive short orientation videos pre-arrival. Some learning objectives could be shared. Some of the self-reflection prompts from their previous visits can also be recalled upon. Okay, maybe there can be a new team, but those previous experiences can also be shared upon so that they don't do the same thing again and again in every visit. How technology can support pre-recorded briefings or digital welcome kits can be shared. This is one of the phases. So next we go to arrivals and briefing. Instead of long presentations, we can have some kind of structured briefing on what to look for, very specific to the point. Because there are different teams, we can have a very structured process focusing on either the logistics part or the inclusion part or the integrity part. Sometimes you might be seeing that, say, in some polling station, we focus a lot on the inclusivity, okay? People from, different settings, marginalized settings, physically challenged settings, resource constrained settings. So there can be a different kind of agenda, fixed to that in the visit program. The third interaction, sessions, general Q&A could be, typically is being followed. One of the pitfalls or bottlenecks that has been observed in the IEDPs in the past experiences. Instead of that, we can have thematic breakout. Just like we in this, entire conference, we have different, thematic, breakouts. Those thematic breakouts can also be, conducted and planned in the IBP, process. The next could be reflections, informal discussions only. Typically, we have, found in the past, exercises. What could be, think that, okay, so what surprised me? So if I'm visiting a country, I should ask, okay, this seems to be very interesting, for me. I need to know more about it. Okay, I need to inquire more about it. What is the historical, settings of it? Why it has been, applied in this, context, so that I can apply it in my country, or maybe engage in discussions in my country. It's not about again replicating as it is. Okay, it's about coming up with more of an adaptable, settings to see if this actually fits or not. Maybe some country may not need EDM, but they should be aware of it. Why an EDM is it? The last part is basically post-visit, long-term, impact. The program just ends, the visitors go back, plan a short report, submit it to their, officials and done. But can we have a repository of the learning, just like we were discussing in the early session, that to have a platform, right, where these learnings could be shared, for the better, public good and across the different, EMBs. And then the entire process of these visitor programs can be, improved and all. So I say that, shared repository, a virtual alumni network kind of a thing could be, created with the platform, which was just shared, both by, Mr. Sam and Dr. Singh, as well. So how we can do that? So we have created a 4-step process. As of now, we should focus on the inputs and the process. Gradually, we would be exercising a best output and the outcome. So what I say is, let's have a clear program objectives, carefully selection of the participants, alignment with the national reform priorities, high quality resource persons, and access to real electoral, operations. The process could be, we walk them through the full electoral cycle coverage, including the field and command center, immersions, stakeholder, interactions, peer-to-peer interactions as well, and cross-country peer exchange, formats or templates. I will show you how does a cross-country template, looks like, and, why we should be having this kind of templates with all the EMBs who are visiting and also who are hosting as well. So this has to be a kind of a mutual kind of, setting. And then as we move ahead, then we can certainly exercise, better outputs and outcomes like, briefing notes and reports, adoption of technologies, improved electoral cycles, from the previous learning experiences and all. So next, what makes a successful IEDP? So just discuss that we need to have a clear, framework as we move ahead. We have a clear objective, strong process design, operational excellence, reflection, continuity, impact, should be more than just an exposure, okay? So these are the 3 improvements. Let's focus on the design, the process improvement, and the system improvement. And how we can do that? So we have been, working on this entire structure. So before the visit, let's have a need assessment, pre-briefing kind of a thing. Then we have a structured learning agenda based on the countries who are visiting us, so that we give them the best. So for example, if Sam visits us, we know the challenges that their country may face. So we may have a very specific thing so that when they go back with full learning experience. They may have a very different, geography, very different, kind of a setting, which may not be similar to, let's say, Nepal, okay, or any other country. So we can have a very specific kind of, structured, learning agenda for the specific EMBs. Then we have a facilitated peer dialogue, document learning, post-visit engagements, and long-term collaborations. That's how it looks like. So this is what the current stage, stays us. So, our team, we have been working on coming up with some kind of templates. You see here, this templates actually reflect that what an EMB, let's say, should be doing. So for example, pre-visit checklist. I may be having a very specific pointers, and our EMB or his team has completed those or not. Then some specific notes can be, mentioned with respect to those pointers. Then the second is during field visit, what did I observe? Why does this practice exist? Just like we've been discussing EVM. Why does this practice exist? There might be some reason behind it, right? So when I go back with full knowledge of the different settings where this country has been, practicing it. The next is comparative mapping, cross-country learning. Again, this should not be misunderstood as a ranking framework. We are not ranking it, okay? We are just comparing, okay, India practice. The legal framework, India may have something. This can be replaced by, let's say, US framework or any other, framework. What my country, practice. Can we have some kind of transferable insights? Because EMB may have their own learnings and experiences, so they may unload something. Of course, later when they go back, the entire team may engage to take it, forward in this sense. These are some of the practical templates which can be, followed and by the EMBs. And this, of course, this is improvement. But this is just a first step ahead as we make the entire IIB process more capacity building exercise. So before closing, I see that the credibility of the election is a shared global, public good. And IBP, one of the most important theme, I must say, can evolve into one of the world's most important democratic learning infrastructures. So thank you so much. That would be all from my side and my team. Okay, if you have any questions, we'll be certainly engaging discussion. So that's all.
Thank you. Thank you for that detailed presentation regarding how to structure, how to design IEVP for better learning outcomes. Thank you, sir. Now I invite Professor Dr. Raga Arya to give their legal perspectives regarding IEVP.
Okay, so very good morning to all of you. I think it is good afternoon now. And as far as my previous speakers are concerned, Sanjeev sir and Sam and Professor Kundu, I think by now you would have got the whole theme, what it is all about as far as International Election Visitor Program is concerned. We know that being Indian, we are very well aware of the thing that what does it mean? Because our own constitution is very much part of this learning process that we have learned from different countries. Because when we look at the different provisions of the Constitution itself, it has been an example, finest example, the most voluminous document, as far as law is concerned, and very finest example of learning. It means we are not averse to take good things from others. If they know, we can also take advantage for this. You and I are very well aware that we all are living in an era which is very much made a global village now. We all are connected with technology, and it is very easy for us to connect with each other. So why not to learn about each other's processes? Why not to introduce something that brings us closer? Since we have called it a global village, so let's make it a global village where we are connected with each other with clarity, with understanding, with autonomy and harmonization. And if we can learn from each other, nobody is small and nobody is big. So learning can be done from anyone, and whatever we can learn from others, we can do that. So, how does it work? Left or right, or yeah, you like this one? Okay.
Mike.
So the very first that I have included here, why I brought, because my background is generally law background. So I just wanted to tell you, because when we look at all these things, whatever we are discussing here, we are learning from, as I said, from the Western countries a lot, because we have been part of that particular system. Ours is a parliamentary democracy, as we all know. As also Mr. Sam shared this idea that they too have a parliamentary democracy, though there is a constitutional one. Monarchy is the constitutional one. We have chosen republic. We have chosen president. So the system more or less is the same as far as the nomenclature is concerned. So we are saying that what is expected, not only from that, there can be a kind of overlapping when I say something about the visitor and the observer. Though of course it has been made very clear that visitor is the one which is going to learn from that, and observer will be doing from a critical frame of mind. So there is a subtle difference between the two, but visitor also need to observe to learn something. But what they will do and for what purpose they will be learning is little different. So that's why we are saying that whenever a visitor will come, it, of course, expected from everyone. So there are certain conditions that Professor Kundu also made mention of this, that they will make respect of national sovereignty, provide accurate assessment of democratic process. So we can say that they have to understand the process in very clear-cut manner when they come. As far as India is concerned, not only introducing this program, to further it, it has established memorandum of understanding with different states. That Sanjeev sir mentioned at the beginning, 3-4 countries he has taken names, where of course we already have an exchange program where visitors have gone to observe their processes. There may not be similarity, but there may be some steps which will be novel in nature. Like sir has made mention of a particular geographical situation that may be very complicated for the purpose of conducting election, and that is Russia. Russia has extreme geography. We too have. Like we have places on Himalayan kingdom, where there may be extreme cold, very distant, lack of oxygen, less population, but everywhere, that our election commission reaches those people. So, and of course, we are using the technology as well. So we can understand that not only this, there can be an example for everyone to learn from India, that how in the distant, remote places where life seems to be so difficult, the Election Commission of India reaches there and conduct those elections. Then we see this is something for the visitors, what they can do. The electoral system design, the formation of electoral institutions, bodies, and the implementation of electoral activities. This is what to be observed by them, that how it is working, how the whole process is being conducted, because we know that it is not one only voter. This is not to escape it. Then again, we know, I just made a mention that India, as you can understand, is a huge territory with large population. So we need support of the security personnel as well. And the administration, it is also have to be in very much conformity with that. Then there are certain things. Why elections want to be observed, as far as thing is concerned. We know that the whole perspective of the democracy means to value human rights and human rights. So there are certain international conventions which are very much part of India's constitution as well. So we could see that there are some more by IIIDEM Foundation that what an election should have as far as the idea of law is concerned. That human right, universal human right declaration must be there. The International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, Convention on Elimination of all forms of racial discrimination. So everything is written before you. The fundamental point these articles are covering are about right to vote and to contest election. As you know, that is a very major aspect of the election part. So it is to be observed, by the people that who all are contesting and who all are voting as far as the process, ongoing process that they are observing. Why election observation? Why, it is being, people are being sent to observe each other as they are learning. That it is something about learn, like new initiatives have been taken by the Election Commission of India. Then what is facilitation? As Professor Kundu has also made a mention. We know that we have a large electorate Here we have not large voter as far as voting process is concerned. A different category. There will be old, there will be disabled, there will be young who are enthusiastic, there will be women. This might be, of course, having plus minus, there will be some who need assistance. So this is a kind of thing, and as you have seen our presentation, that particular Election Commission of India has put different languages we have. So as far as how does, the whole facilitation is done by the EMB in India and the local bodies, local EMBs, that is also a particular thing that can be observed. Levels of transparency and accessibility of electoral system, that has been already spoken about, that how it is done, that everyone should be aware of it. Because when the visitor is exposed to observe how these things are happening, so we can understand that. Honest counting and reporting of results. This is something we have discussed many a time when we were working on it, that it should not stop at only one point of time. It's a kind of continuous process, pre-poll, poll day, and post-poll. And when we say correspondence counting part also is added. Certain initiatives plus best practices that I would like to mention, because there are others as well, but I will take these here because they are very different in their nature. This is something like mobile application has been used for the purpose of facilitation of the voters and those who are contesting election. As far as C-Vigil is concerned, it is an app to monitor proper implementation of model code of conduct. As you know, the date of Election Commission of India, when it announces the election, the state or the country, whenever it is observing, the model code of conduct starts. And here the thing is that it has to be done in consultation and conformity and acceptance from all the political parties. It is generally the thing that they will forbid from malpractices regarding elections. No party will act in such a manner that will be taking advantage of the situation. And voters are allowed to make videos and to take pictures of that to share with Election Commission. So C-Vigil is something part of that, so that Election Commission can ensure free, fair election for everyone. Suvidha is about the contestant, that they can use this app to conduct their things, whatever they want to do, their registration and everything that is regarding that. So this is for the contestant. Saksham is for the disability one. Then we do see essentials for effective election observation. That all these things have been told to you, that who all will come, because I think Dr. Kundu has made a lot of beautiful, boxes and everything. For the meaningful observation, people should be chosen very carefully. And of course, they should be also accredited, so that's, there will be an incentive for that to come forward. Establish a mission. This is something also Sanjeev sir said in the beginning. There should be a repository sort of thing, that so the experiences are compiled and collected at one place, so that it will make it easy to collect information about things. This is something about that. So this is, you can see that kind of unhindered access, which is something point of concern that not all to see. Then essentials to observe by election wisdom. This is something already we have discussed about, that then it was said that the briefings and all that. So all this is something I have also spoken about it. Composition and structure of the election administration. It is also something that we have to understand for the purpose of discussion. What all to be observed? As I said, this is also an important part, so you can have a look at that. And participation of women is also something I have added, that we have to see that because now the women have voting rights, there was a period when women were not having. So what all will be the code of conduct for the visitor itself? So this is something that they should be, making them available all the time, and they should be observing in an unobtrusive manner, engage throughout the day based on election conclusion, their personal observation, and comply with all that. So this is something, again, as I say, that it will be the one that we will be realistic upon. Again, this is something that who would be the one, like we are saying, peer learning thing. But then the election now management body has to take that into consideration, that who will be the one, that who actually has a command over the subject and content. So specialization was because variety of things have to be observed, including the legal framework as is being said. So person must have some knowledge of law if they are going to examine that area. Experience enriches the learning. So this is the one that when you learn, you, of course, after observing, you will be adding those things for you, like Mr. Sam has added something. We can also, think about that. Knowledge about electoral system to observe pre-election preparation. Everybody has spoken about that. And this is something that we all need, that ample opportunity means the person should be there in continuation, or there should be a team, with that particular aspect to be learned about. So that is something, certain things I wanted to share with you, that what all will be a part of this visitor program, and what all is needed for the visitor also, and what could be the points of observation. This is what I wanted to share. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Adia. We are running short of time. Now I invite Professor Pandey to his presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Jha, and thank you, organizers. I will try to take less than 10 minutes. Let me see. We are discussing democracy and elections. Modern democracies are representative democracies, and the instrument to operationalize representative democracy are elections. So elections are sine qua non of democracies today. As far as democracy is a contested concept, in the last 1 year, we have seen how, in fact, there is something called democratic backsliding that we have witnessed in the last decade or last year especially. In fact, one of the writers said that democracy, in fact, one one political scientist, C.N. Joad, once said about socialism that it's like a hat that everyone wants to wear so that it has lost its shape. Something similar can be said about democracy. So we have liberal democracies, we have illiberal democracies, we have managed democracies, we have sovereign democracy, we have people's democracy. But in any of these, elections are the most essential component. On the previous speakers have either been practitioners or have done research on elections. I am not. My only claim to speak in this session is that I have been an international election observer half a dozen times, and especially in Central Asian countries. So with my experience and hindsight, I would say certain things that one can say the takeaways. Well, but before that, maybe something on elections. We understand that elections are the most important component of democracy. They are the basis for democratic legitimacy. Elections give citizens a means and instrument to hold the government accountable. So to ensure that their voice is heard, they are a mechanism to peacefully resolve transfer of power. So elections are needed even in countries which are otherwise considered not very democratic. So for a transfer of power to be considered legitimate, elections serve the purpose. So elections in that sense are very important. Coming to election observation, or why elections need to be observed. Election observation is a valuable tool for improving the quality of elections. Observers help build public confidence in the honesty of electoral process. Observation can help promote and protect civil and political rights of the participants in elections. It can lead to correction of errors or weak practices. Even while an election process is still underway, it can deter manipulation and fraud, or expose such problems, any problem if it occurs. When observers can issue positive reports, it provides certain legitimacy to the election process, or it can also provide a self-correcting mechanism during and after the elections. Observation or international election observation is a recent phenomena which has come into practice in the last 3 decades or 2.5 decades. In that sense, it's not a very old practice, but increasingly it has become very important, and non-partisan citizen election monitoring is now considered an essential for any elections to be considered as legitimate. When citizens come together to observe elections, they may have a number of goals depending on the context. Civil society might mobilize to observe an election in order to engage citizens in election process, deter fraud, or many such purposes can be fulfilled. My own experience as an election observer, I became, for the first time, I went to Uzbekistan for presidential election in 2007, and subsequently half a dozen times I have been there for parliamentary and presidential election. Mr. Jha, in his initial remarks, said that this is a process of give and take, a learning process where we can learn from each other's best practices and experiences. What I saw in Uzbekistan maybe can be of some interest to people here on the dais and among the audience. The first thing, of course, Uzbekistan is a relatively smaller country, although in Central Asia, it is the largest country with a population of around 38 million. But the number of voters is around 20 million, 2 crores. The number of booths are, in India, the number of voters, electors are nearly 1 billion, so 1,000 billion. In Uzbekistan, there are barely 20 million. The number of booths are around 10,000. In India, there are 1 million, that is 10 lakhs. So in many ways, the cases are not comparable, but there are certain practices that I saw there. And these practices relate to both, pertain to both the elections as such and the quality as it works. Madam, Mr. Kundu and Madam said certain things as to how women's representation and women's participation, both as election observers, one must emphasize, and as voters and candidates. These are things that international observers need to take cognizance of. Well, in case of Uzbekistan, I can tell you that they have reserved 40%. They require that all political parties, there are 2 types of elections, one on the basis of territorial constituencies and other on the basis of party system or party list. In both cases, there is a constitutional legal requirement that 40% of the candidates need to be within. So this is one thing that one can learn, other polities can learn from experience of Uzbekistan. Another thing, and very unique thing in Uzbekistan that I found was the importance that they give to environmental concerns and climate. So much so that around 20 years back, there was an ecological movement, and the constitution mandated that nearly 10% of the seats out of 150, 15 seats need to be reserved for the ecological movement. Now that clause has been taken out, but there is an ecological party, and that party now holds about 15 seats in the parliament, which comes to around 10%. Apart from this, what I saw in Uzbekistan, there are many other features in Uzbekistan's political system, despite many political scientists not considering it as a truly liberal, open, democratic system. Despite that, there are things that we can still learn from it. The elections are organized in a very, very methodical manner. One can say it's almost stage-managed. I mean, in the last 2 elections, presidential elections, I saw there are 5 recognized political parties, and there were 4 candidates for the presidency, and all the 4 candidates got equal space outside the polling station, outside the building, in fact. the manifesto of all the four candidates almost, they were given almost similar space. Their photographs and their manifesto was there. People would come in a very orderly manner with their passports in order to vote. But a more interesting feature was that on all election booths, there were daycare centers for children. So mothers coming with their children can put their children in those daycare centers. In all the election booths, there were medical facilities. There was a doctor. If you want, you can visit. You can get your BP checked, or you can get some necessary medicines. We know that in modern elections, especially in Europe and many other so-called liberal, quote-unquote, liberal democracies, voter apathy is a major challenge. Not so in India, of course, not so in Uzbekistan or many of these post-communist countries. They would require their citizens to come out and vote. That is almost mandatory. But if we in India can do something similar, provide, for example, a doctor at each polling booth. I understand 1 million polling booths means finding 1 million doctors may not be possible, but that can be a big incentive for voters to come out. In any case, voting percentages are quite impressive in India, so we don't need to worry too much about that. But election observers have a very peculiar duty, especially for people like me who have written, apart from being an election observer, I have written on elections, for example, in UP, Uttar Pradesh, my home state. I had a very difficult job because ideally I wanted to ask the voters some questions which as election observer I was not supposed to. Of course, I wouldn't have asked their voting preference or whom they voted for, but thanks almost. Well, they did not prevent me from taking pictures. They did not prevent me from asking. Each political party would have their representatives sitting. All of them will have their own desk, and 3 people from each political party would be there at the polling stations, and also an equal number of representatives during the counting also. Sometimes it sounds too stage managed, but in many other ways, it ensures a fair play, a level playing field also. I don't think I have to add anything. If you have any questions, I would be more than willing to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Pandey, for sharing his experiences of international visit abroad to other countries. He also stressed an important point. Learning comes when we go there, visit with an open mind. Sometimes if we go with preconceived notions, you will not be able to learn than you should have done. So we have taken a little longer, but we can have a quick question answer session or any suggestion is welcome regarding this theme.
It's a colleague video. You may have either friendly check that is to learn the specific thing. So you have just said that this process is just to learn the strength, not the shortcoming. So would you like to pass on any strength which Tonga has to the country?
Thank you, sir. Last year, 2025 was our general election year. After every 4 years, and every general election year in Tonga, we have international election visitors from Australia and New Zealand, and also from other Pacific Island countries. They will come during the pre-election period, and they will station at our EMP office and help us and observe everything, and we distribute it up to election day, and they will have their scheduled timetable of which polling stations to visit and to perform their observations and everything. Even in country, we have local observers, which is the high commissioners of every foreign countries, the Chinese embassy, the United Kingdom embassy, all the embassies, they are also observers. And after that, I received the reports and combined them. So what were they found out that at the scheduled time for the voters registration, new voters registration only, there's a due date. So we stopped in this day before we can print out the final voters roll. Okay, so anyone that comes and registers after that date will not be on the election roll for the election day. So on that day, there were only a few staff back in the office, including myself. The rest of the staff, they were sent to the outer islands. Like I said, there are more outer islands, which is a basic challenge in Tonga, is the deliverance of the materials and everything to the outer islands, because we have limited transportation. So we only have one airline in Tonga, and the ferries is just 2 ships. So it's a major challenge for Tonga Electoral Commission, for the EMP in Tonga. So we didn't realize that most of our staff at the EMP were sent to the outer islands. I didn't know it myself because that's another department's logistics. But the day that the registration ended, 4 o'clock at the afternoon, we didn't realize that people were storming to the office and to register before 4 p.m. And there were only 3 staff at the main office. And for voter registration, no other people can do it. It's just us in the office. So the Australian observers, they noticed that. And then they put that down in their feedback on their observers' reports. And when I received the reports and handed over, we reviewed it. And then we realized that we didn't notice that. And we sent all our staff to the outer islands. Only less than 3 staff in the main island, which is the majority of the voters lived in the main island, to take care of. So we didn't realize that we made that mistake until the Australian Electoral Commission observers came in and notified us through their feedback, observation reports. So this is just one example of other 100 examples that we came throughout from 2010, and now we're getting. So this is one strength of the observers report. This is important that we do our everyday election process in our EMPs. In our own perspective, we overlook some little election process we don't know, but other EMPs and observers might come and pick it up for you and let you know about it, which I hope I answered your question, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Zoran.
Hello, sir. Sir, India's election commission is globally admired for administering the world's largest democratic exercise, a massive logistic and security feat. However, this scale also creates unique pressure points. And all the experts have already provided a lot of insights and given the details of IEVP, best practices and status of challenges in various countries. As a researcher and as an NLMT, I'd be very happy to know about from experts about what should be the most important thrust areas or systematic challenge to focus our observation on in order to truly understand both the resilience and the evolving stresses within the Indian electoral processes. Thank you.
Professor Pandey, to us, you have been observers in so many countries.
The challenge is for the chip. They are basically what are the points should be like observed in our observation. We should keep in mind that these are the things which we need to take to other countries in the electoral process actually.
Between such some of
But specifically which should be taken.
Yes, we discussed it when also like and only when it is implemented choice, although there is a law. But whether that law will hit is coming, it's like when is not sure. We are not sure because it will only be after the next census that we will get to know the results, and then so we have delayed it. In fact, beyond what we were expected to do. So this is a barrier issue, I think, and something that we need to learn from other countries. Now, the other major challenge this is the issue of what type of representation, whether proportional representation should be a way out. This is for an entirely different issue because, as you know, the party which is getting full majority in Lok Sabha, barely gets 38% of the votes. And I'm not touching on the present dispensation. Before that, the vote share was even less. So whether we should evolve a system where there can be territorial constituencies along with the party list, there are many other ways of proportional representation by which the actual outcome or results reflect the voter preferences better than what we have today. So a party getting 20% of the seats might be getting barely 10% of the Lok Sabha seats. So these are anomalies in the first part of the system that perhaps we need to take care of.
I am very sure Professor Arya would like to add something.
See, I think you were asking about that world they can come and observe, as far as India is concerned, what India has to offer to the world. This is, if I have got your question right? Yeah? Yeah.
When we move forward, such how they just go outside, what we need to see what is doing India's electoral systems.
Yeah, that is what even we are sitting and discussing here. Like I was saying that even Sam's country can offer us something like as far as, because the fundamental aspect about like we say voters registration. Voters registration is a particular thing that is important. The mechanism that is being adopted, I think, example is also being given here. That the process of voter registration has been taken example from other country. That we have learned. I think Sir has mentioned about World Wars of country. That technical details we can learn from that, how do they do it, So this we can say that what India can, learn, because as far as India is concerned, India is a very, different kind of country if we talk in terms of that. But despite that, we are learning about it, like as far as the thing is concerned. Rest I don't think, because a lot of things already have been, modified, like EDMs and all that. Like Sir has made mention about the environment thing. So eco-friendly system is already also being introduced into that. And like he has suggested that he himself said about the medical things and all that. And about women he has said. So that was a thing that really, drew myself to that particular point. Yes, take a cycles like thing, because we know that there could be long queues. Despite having EVMs and all that, there will be queues, So there could be certain kind of management still that can be done as far as our, voting booths and the centers are concerned, that can be done. So such kind of tips we can take from them, that medical help should be there. And then this women ke liye jo bachon ke sath aati hai, then we can have, daycare centers there. And other thing I said that as far as voters registration, as you know, it's a sensitive and a complicated task as far as India is concerned. So we can learn about how we can really mechanize it in a proper manner, and how can we collect the informations about them in a proper manner, because that is a sensitive aspect. This is what I think that we can do as far as certain things in addition to, because that is we cannot say, because I have not been an observer, so I cannot say that what other countries offering. So that's why Pandit is, there to tell us about that. But what I felt after listening to him, that yes, these things are good to be adopted. Those are said that it's not possible to have so many doctors. So perhaps we can work on that in that particular area to have doctors there.
But we found short question.
Yeah, being a political scientist, my question may be a little political, but so in the international election business program, is there generally a scope for the participants to also meet political parties? Because, at times the perspectives of political parties with regard to the conduct may matter. So is that built into the program? What has been our experience? Yes, so
These they succeed, but me, the particle, the post Paris, not that in a tree. Based on the election, sure that countries, the numbers happens one day before the elections, and there are the creators of political parties, so were out to meet them. After the elections, also, there is also. But I'm talking about now, is that scope? Not real, with a visitors program, it's yes. See what happens. It is a different from the worst country. That's why we are recommending that we should have more interaction with all the stakeholders. Whenever this program is organized, we must have interaction with all the stakeholders. That includes local also. Present is depends on the worst country. So that's what we are recommending. Now, I think we have come to the close of a session. The time is almost running out. I'm briefly just still. I think that I hope this previous session has given you new insight on international election visitors program. And I sincerely thank our international delegate, Mr. Sam Hayo, all the speakers and participants for their valuable contribution. This session is reflected in the International Election Visitors Program to the strong platform of PR learning, professional exchange. It helps in our understanding of the best practices of the other countries. What is the road ahead? See, the program should be strengthened and expanded. It should be structured to address the needs of the visiting families. That's what I think it also answers your question also. The exchange also, it should continue even after the program. And we should have more such programs in future. This will help in learning, sustained learning also. I hope the insights gained today will support future cooperation among election management bodies and democratic institutions. With this, I thank you once again for your active participation. And I wish you all a happy and enriching learning experience. And thank you. Thank you.